Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Once again, this is your friend Sir Leo Angeles. At this time, I am going to talk about and give you some tips and sample questions that might be asked during your interview. By the way, there are three categories or three competencies and standards that they are going to use as their basis in giving you points. Number one is your teaching ability. Number two, your classroom management. And number three, school fit. Guys, indeed, we are so blessed and fortunate because two of my colleagues shared their tips and sample questions that you can use during your interview. So guys, good luck and God bless.
Hi, I've been invited by Leo to give you some tips on what to do during job interviews. And I have here three that I remember from when I was teaching workplace English at a college in Laguna. So number one is be real. I know that you're trying to sell yourself, you're trying to impress the interviewers, but nothing beats sincerity. So whenever they ask you a question, don't go looking for what you think is the best answer, just give the real answer. That way they'll see who you really are and you won't get nervous because what you're saying is true to you. Number two is the less you say, the better. Because the more you say, the more prone you are to errors. And so the less you say, the better. Get straight to the point. If they ask you a question, answer it directly, very politely and respectfully. And number three, turn negatives into positives. There are interviewers who would ask you, what are your strengths and weaknesses? So if for example, you remember that your weakness is that you are a workaholic, turn that around, make it positive and say that you are a hard worker instead of a workaholic. So those are some tips. And now for some questions. Well, from experience, the most commonly asked question is, especially when you're applying to teach in the public schools, is why do you want to teach in the public schools? So you better think about that, and I suggest that you go for a better reason than just a higher salary than in the private school where you came from, for example. Another thing is, what would you be able to give to the community? What would you be able to add to what is already in the public schools? So you can emphasize there your strengths, what it is that you have to offer, not just as a teacher, but as a person. Because after all, teaching in the public schools is not just a job, it is a calling. So you better think carefully about answering questions like that. And what else do they ask? They would also ask you about your experiences. So don't turn it into a history of your whole life, but rather focus on what you actually did. No? Be able to focus on the skills that you have as a teacher that you feel would help the selection committee remember you. That's all. I hope that helps you. God bless you.
As a teacher applicant, my only fruitful advice to all of you is that you must be prepared psychologically and mentally. Now, how you're going to do it? First and foremost, you must feel relaxed during the interview and be prepared to answer various written questions during the interview. As a teacher applicant, it is very essential that you know the 21st century skills. And as a teacher, inside your classroom, how you're going to apply the 21st century skills to make your teaching and learning meaningful to your students.
These are some of my tips that you can use during the preparation of your interview in your application in public schools. Number one, get ready, be prepared. So it means you have to equip yourself with different readings. Confident. So you have to show to the interviewer that you know what are you saying and talking. So being proud is entirely different from being boastful. These are some sample questions that might ask you during your interview. Number one, please tell something about yourself, or maybe they would ask you, could you please tell me your preparation, your educational qualification, and your experiences that make you fit for the position that you are applying for? Number two, they might also question like this: can you give me your out-of-the-box teaching strategies that you are using that significantly improve the teaching and learning process between you and your learners? Number three, do you have any attitude problem? What can you contribute in the total development of Filipino learners? And what is more important to you, your management skills or your teaching skills? And lastly, what are the characteristics of 21st century teachers?